Yeah,
And
so
then even with like other people like that, like say stuff like, "Oh, you're too pretty to have a disability," and it's like that's triggering. It's like
I get individual disabilities that it's hard to explain sometimes, or you can't like just like you can't just show like I don't know. Let's say you have surgery, you can say, "Hey, here's my scar," and then like, yeah, it's amazing. It's just I know like for me, it's and then for anyone, you have to have like a certain level of self-esteem to be able to share your story. Yeah, I'm sure like for
like
one,
a few months after I did that, a realization of like, oh my God, I just put my whole life out there. I felt very vulnerable. You're not going to be everybody's favorite. You can't be like a yoga teacher for everybody. It does not exist. Like it's that's like a futile dream to have. So, instead of like worrying if I'm like, but I feel like it was a lot easier for me to be in isolation, to be, have my life a little bit shrunken down than it was for my friends or family. Because I'm used to my life going sometimes. Yeah. If only a bit of unfairness, right? And of
oh, I'm laughing like good. They deserve something.
I agree. Like I think it did really humble.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to know like what the hell you did in your past life that you have to have everything I just listed. Like, are you the Zodiac killer? So like you have so many diseases and like I don't know where you start, but like how do you even get diagnosed being allergic to the cold? Yeah. So like every chronic illness, it's never consistent from day to day. Like you will have better days. Like what had worked for you to stay consistent? Hello, welcome to my podcast to Mics One JoeySooch. I am Joey Sooch and I'll be giving a mic to Marcelle. Is it long lad or long
Long
age?
lad. Long lad.
Long lad?
Like a lad, but who's long.
Like Aladdin, I guess. Long lad. Okay. Uh, we are going to talk about EDS, FMF, POTS, allergic to the cold, PTSD, social anxiety, yoga, tools to stay authentic and empowered, and Bunny. Glad to have you. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Let's go. We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
No problem. So in your bio, you have Marcelle, then you have Asinta. So my question is, am I talking to an earth and nature goddess?
In training, maybe. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, since my Earth goddess. That's
So you have like contact with Mother Nature here?
Oh yeah, lots of contact with Mother Nature.
Yeah, to totally keep the warm weather here because I'm loving it right now.
It's freezing here.
Oh, okay, but it's beautiful here. It's like 60 degrees, so just send her like a little like, hey, the Northeast, just keep it the way it is till like till like April, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, that'd be great, right? At least it's nice and sunny here today. That's good.
So I hope you cleared your schedule because we have so much to unpack here. Would you like to play a game?
Sure.
So we can play the cookie game where we have to carve the shape out of a cookie. I'm kidding.
I would not pick that one because I would be very bad at that one.
But did you see the show though?
I started watching it, yeah.
You didn't finish it?
No, because I'm like taking my time. I was gonna binge it, but I'm like, I want this to last.
It's so good. It's so captivating. You gotta watch it. Like after this though. But
yeah, definitely.
the audience can play the game too. So I'm going to list all the diseases that are in the conversation. Then you and the audience can decide which disease they would not want to have. Ready?
Sounds good.
Okay, so we got familial Mediterranean fever, which is a rare genetic and auto-inflammatory disorder. Symptoms include fever, rash, stomach and chest pain, and joint inflammation. It's systematic and affects every part of your body. With FMF comes cold urticaria, which is allergic to the cold. Next, we have connective tissue disorder, diagnosed right now as hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or EDS for short. It is dislocations of joints anywhere in the body, bone pain. I am not done, guys. Then we have narcolepsy with cataplexy, a rare neurological disorder that causes her body to be incredibly fatigued and fall asleep without notice. It is generally triggered by emotional occurrences and any extreme emotion. Next, we got postural orthostatic tachycardia. Okay, which is which is lightheadedness, fainting, and uncomfortable, rapid increase in heartbeat. Some will faint by just standing up and often relieved by lying down with feet in the air. Then we got polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, and endometriosis due to ovarian endometriosis cyst. You can ask any woman about periods and they will tell you how lovely it is. And a super angry tone when a guy said they can handle periods. Then we got medical PTSD, which I feel an entire new field of PTSD. And the last disease is we got FOP, where muscle, tendons, and ligaments turn into bones, locking the body into place permanently, forever. Some crazy shit. To anyone watching, write in the comments what disease you would not want to have. Now, Marcelle, what disease would you not want to have?
PTSD. Really? Probably surprising people with that one.
Really, I'm surprised by the answer, but
it's amazing what you can get used to. So I've gotten used to all of the other stuff, but the PTSD comes on hard, and it's not something that I've gotten used to yet. So, or I don't think I ever will, to be honest. And because I'm constantly in and out of the hospital and doctor's offices, I'm often triggered. So.
Yeah, I know you have an article that you talk about your medical PTSD. So I'm assuming it automatically triggered every time you go to the hospital?
Pretty much. Definitely to a certain degree, it can get into like a panic attack. Often it's just, I'm a very confident person, and I'm biomedical engineering, so I've been in the medical field, but I just lose my confidence and I don't stand up for myself when I should stand up for myself. So yeah, like pretty much all the time, if I'm going to the hospital, even if it's a doctor that's going to call me and I'm home, although that's much better than going to a clinic or whatnot, but I still get symptoms.
Yes,
and even with like other people like that, like say stuff like, "Oh, you're too pretty to have a disability," and it's like, that's triggering. It's like I don't want to hear that.
Really? So anything that's related to your disease is triggering to you? So am I triggering you then?
No, you're not triggering me. This kind of stuff isn't triggering. Because it's empowering, but so it's a different kind of energy or intention, right? And but I feel like the medical PTSD affects all of my diseases and all of my symptoms. So it's like a big one for me.
Yeah, so I guess it kind of on a relationship, like you come into the podcast knowing you'll be talking about yourself. So you're like, I guess, mentally prepared. But if a stranger that came up to you and say, "Hey, you look fine," when you're clearly not, that's when it triggers you, because I guess if for a lot of, indivisible disabilities, it's hard to explain sometimes, or you can't you can't just show, like, I don't know, let's say you have surgery, you can say, "Hey, here's my scar," and then like, okay, but like for you can't really express POTS.
No, not really, unless you see me pass out. Then it's a little obvious. But no, definitely it's an invisible illness, and you have it right. Like, I'm coming on here and I know it's going to be a great environment, like supportive, and I feel very supported with you, Joey, because I know that you're a great advocate, and so it's not triggering because I know, you are, you're great, and so I know it's not going to be triggering because I know that we're here to kind of shed light on this kind of stuff. So that's not triggering, but definitely when it comes to like just strangers, I would say when it's like loved ones, I don't get triggered so much anymore.
Well, if I do anything to trigger you, just let me know.
You'll be fine.
But I want to ask, like, how is your self-esteem then? Because I know, like, when you go to the doctor, it can be intimidating. Like, I know in your article you say that, like, you'll go to the doctor's office like with a plan, and then you go in and it's like, I understand it's intimidating when you're in the office and like you have everything you want to say, then the doctor comes in and like you just shut down and all of that. So how is your self-esteem now?
Much better. Much better. Yeah, therapy is super helpful for that because it just gives me the tools to try to like center myself. So like little things like and now that I'm a yoga meditation teacher, like I'll go now when I go to appointments, make sure that I go a little bit early, and then before I even walk in, I just sit in my chair and I just do like 2-3 minutes of breathing of meditation, and then that's enough to it's not gone, but it's enough to calm me down enough that I can most often like stand up for myself. Obviously, if the doctor is like not very nice, and then I'll just my self-esteem will just plummet. But I have a great team now, so my self-esteem is really good, unless I'm seeing a doctor that I haven't seen before. But yeah, I think my self-esteem is good. Yeah, I've built a life that I love, and I have a lot of things that make me very happy and peaceful.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just, I know like for me, and then for anyone, you have to have like certain level of self-esteem to be able to share your story. Yeah, I'm sure like for one, it's difficult, let's say writing it or like putting it on film to like say whatever traumatic event. But then don't you also feel extra stressed when you have to press the submit button?
Oh my gosh.
And then there's like relief for a while. And then a little bit later, it's like, shit, it's out there. Like now everyone can read it. It's like, what if people don't like it? Like now it's like, but it's like too late. So like, do you go through that or?
All of the time. So when I made a decision a few years ago to just put myself out there, it is hard. It's hard to put what you're going through into words. Like I find that that's also very hard sometimes. I have to really like think about it. So putting it into words, and then you're writing it and you're like, you don't want to sound like a victim. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not why we're writing about our stories. We're not writing for pity or to victimize ourselves. We're doing it to shed light, and so that maybe there's one person out there that's reading it and feels a little less lonely. So when I go hit the submit, I'm like, huh. And I review it too many times, and then I hit submit, and you're right, I'm fine for a bit, but then it's like doubt comes in. It's like, oh no, will this be received properly? And then once you get engagement, then it kind of gets better. It gets a little bit easier as you go. I'm definitely at first it was like so bad, but now it's manageable, like a lot more manageable. And I think like one thing about having your story out, well, I decided I'm like, if I'm gonna have part of my story out there, I'm just gonna have my whole story out there, right? And then it was like a few months after I did that, a realization of like, oh my God, I just put my whole life out there. I feel very vulnerable. It's easier now. Like now I'm so glad that I have my story out there. I'm so glad because it's out there and I don't have to be like, I don't have to worry. I don't have to be ashamed. Sometimes I'm like, oh geez, but it's like, it's done, too late. And I think I especially noticed it when I started dating or was thinking about dating, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like these people are going to look and my whole life's out there. And like, am I ready for that? And so that's been like one of the most recent kind of like, oh, okay. It's a little scary.
Yeah, taking the first step is so intimidating. And like, I kind of wiggled in and out of telling my story and such, but like, our Odyssey helped me out a lot because I wasn't really surrounded by people. There are people that are like have 100,000 views, 100,000 followers, and it doesn't seem too role models for me because they're already out there. But like it provides me more support, whether it's like people that have similar followers that I do that are just like starting out or just doing this thing. So like thanks to our Odyssey, I was able to, I guess, have enough self-esteem to like start pushing myself out there and evolving to the, like now I have a podcast and I'm interviewing other people. Like I'm good with my story and like this is who I am and I'm just gonna keep doing me. And if people like me, great. If people don't like me, then they have the option of just to unfollow.
Yeah, that's a great mentality to have for sure.
Yeah, like you don't have to, like you can say your story and just you're done, and like someone doesn't like it, they can just exit out of it. I do
They
nothing.
don't have to subscribe, right?
Like you after a while, you just stop having to please everyone and just have to accept who you are, and someone has to accept you for who you are, and you just gotta be you forever.
Absolutely. So for sure, absolutely. And I mean, our Odyssey has been incredible for me as well. And it's just like snowball effect, like you're saying, right? Like I started a website, put my story, da da da. Now I'm like volunteering with our Odyssey and helping others have their story out there, and so many things, and it's wonderful. It's really great. Our Odyssey is very special in that way, I find. It's like indirect networking, kind of, but also like finding a community that gets it, which is so important for us that are living with these chronic conditions.
Yeah, it definitely helped me create a solid foundation for myself and find myself. And now I am soaring to the sky, and I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, and then you see, I talk to other people and it seems, there are some that are still struggling and such, but I think at the end of the day, it helps a lot to help people with self-esteem that they're not so alone.
absolutely. What you said earlier about like one of the teachings that my guru, my yoga teacher, has been like saying from the beginning, especially after I graduated as a teacher, was you're not going to be everybody's favorite. You can't be like a yoga teacher for everybody. It does not exist. Like it's that's like a futile dream to have. So, instead of like worrying if I'm like sequencing, like I'm putting the right poses in there, if I'm saying the right thing, it's not about that. It's about saying what's right for me and practicing what's right for me. And she said like, and then, but you're worried because you want to be successful and you want to, you want to be liked. And she said like, you don't, she always said like, you be you, and whoever, is part of your journey will follow, and whoever's not, then that's totally cool. Like I'm not going to be for everybody, and that's fine. Like I still struggle sometimes. I think we all do. But yeah, definitely that's helped me a lot with streamlining kind of my direction with what I want to do with my website and my company and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
why is it so hard for us to be ourselves?
the society we live in doesn't value authenticity. Um,
It's crazy. Like it should be easy to be ourselves, but it's society like this weird pressure. And and then I was talking to someone else like with the pandemic. He's a transsexual, and that he was saying that I think the pandemic helped a lot in terms of people finding themselves because they were like able to eliminate everything and they focused on themselves. So there'll be like a lot of people just knowing like who they are now and just like pushing through. And like I think I'm in the same position that the pandemic never happened. I don't think, I'd be doing a podcast right now. Like finding myself, like finding our odyssey. I don't think I have found any of that. I don't think any of this would have happened. So it's like I get thankful for the pandemic, even though it's wrecking everyone's lives.
Silver linings of everything, right?
Yeah.
And I agree. Like I feel like challenges definitely have a way of being a mirror to show us who we are, right? And I think anybody that has a chronic condition or a disease can understand that. Um, and so I think for me, like my illness, it sucked. It like I had to change my whole life, and but I'm out of the rat race. Like I'm not, doing 9 to 5. I don't feel like I don't have as much pressure as other people. And yeah, I go through a lot more challenges than other people, but I'm super happy that I'm not feeling like I have to be in that rat race. I think for me, definitely the pandemic, there's so many silver linings. Like I would have never connected with our Odyssey if it wasn't for the pandemic either. I also had more time to myself to like really think about what my goals are. But I feel like it was a lot easier for me to be in isolation, to be, have my life a little bit shrunken down than it was for my friends or family. Because I'm used to my life going sometimes and
exactly. Everyone was able to feel our pain.
yeah, if only a bit of unfairness, right? And of
I'm laughing like good. They deserve something.
I agree. Like I think it did really humble some of us.
Yeah, suffer.
Well, I mean, one of the like I was like flipping through Instagram, and one of the things that's been like stuck in my head is this like video of this girl, and she says, we can't wait for life to stop being hard before we're happy, before we commit to being happy. And that's like, oh my god, that's my life motto.
Yeah,
it's like you said right at the beginning, we're stuck with this for life, right? And so
yeah, I did had an interview with Snapchat today, and I had a thing, and they wanted me to do like an ending quote, and like I didn't like know what to say at the moment because like I want to be like authentic and stuff. So like I was thinking of a Drake verse, but like nothing was coming up to me, like nothing that was like appropriate for the situation. So I did ended up saying like, have fun because this is it. Like there's nothing else. Like you can't. Yeah, this is really it. Like there's nothing we can do. And
yeah.
I think it's just like poetic and deep and such. Yeah, but like this is it. Like
no, like, it's so very poetic.
Yeah, it's. I mean, for a lot of people, it sucks, but like, I can't do anything. Like you can't do anything. Like except to roll with the punches and listen to Drake music.
My homeboy Drake.
Oh yeah, you're both Canadian.
Yeah, and he's Torontonian, and I'm in Toronto right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. Say hi to Drake for me.
Sure. Yeah, I'm hanging out with him tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I do want to say you're an unbelievable person with all the diseases that I was mentioning before, except FOP. You can't have everything. It is good to share. Anyways, I have interviewed all the diseases but each disease within a separate person. I know it's unbelievable, but it is believable because you are here talking to me. I just want to say you're a total badass.
You're awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I often say that I won the genetic lottery of mutations.
You won it like 5 times. Like
yeah, and like yeah, I'm set for life. I'm good, And then like one thing that Anna from our audience loves to say is that I'm an overachiever in all senses of the word. So I had just to have one disease, I had to have more than one.
Yeah. I just want to know like what the hell you did in your past life that you have to have everything I just listed. Like, are you the Zodiac killer?
Oh my gosh, it's so hilarious that you said that because my brother literally said that to me like a few weeks ago. He's like, what happened to you? And he's like, who were you in a past life that you're having to atone for all of this karma? I'm like, I don't know, some like lord or something.
Yeah, I did want to say that it was totally unplanned. I did not know. But yeah, are you the Zodiac killer by any chance?
Maybe that's why I'm an astrologer too. Right?
I mean, I don't know if the Zodiac killer would be Canadian though. I'd be like they'd be too nice.
Yeah, we have like Paul Bernardo.
I have no idea who that is.
And Carla Homolka, serial killers.
I'm not.
We don't have very many.
I mean, yeah, it's Canada. Like, come on. But like, I mean, I'm not a serial killer type person. Like, I don't watch any of the, those series and such. I know it's popular with women and they find it relaxing. People killing each other in cold blood and.
No, not my thing. I mean, I love scary movies and stuff, but that's just my cheesy self. I'm addicted to a podcast. So I just listen to the same podcast all of the time, every day. And so I love paranormal stuff. So I listen to this Mysterious Universe podcast.
Well, we're in a perfect holiday for you then.
Oh my goch, this is my favorite time of the year. You have no idea. Yeah. Right.
So like you have so many diseases and like I don't know where you start, but like How do you even get diagnosed being allergic to the cold?
I mean, I've been sick to a certain extent my whole life, but that was one of the first like major symptoms where we're like, whoa, something really like screwed up is going on here. So that's so I was like 18. It happened like overnight. So I like was a water guppy. Like I used to always be in the water. I grew up in a small hometown, in like a small town up north, and we were by the water. So I was always in the water, and we also had a pool. So like I was literally always in the water. And it was like June or July, and I was visiting my parents and was at the cottage and going in the water, just going in the lake, right? And I come out and I'm covered from literally head to toe in hives. So I thought that it was, we have these like things sometimes in lakes up north where it's like called swimmer's itch. And it's kind of like it's like pollen and you get allergic to the pollen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, what is going on? But nobody else had it. So I couldn't do that. So I'm like, what's going on? Maybe it's the sunscreen. Maybe it's my bathing suit. And then my uncle was like, oh, wait, you might be allergic to the cold because my grandfather is allergic to the cold. And I had no idea that he was. So for him, it was the same thing. It came on when he was 18 and it stopped when he was 50-ish. So there's hope. But I'm much more severe than my grandfather. So yeah, I was like, what's going on? So then I went and saw I got referred to an immunologist here in Toronto, and I'm still with him today. Like he's my superhero, my rock star. He's the one that's really gotten me along throughout this whole journey. And he's like 86 years old and still going. And yeah, he said, and he's awesome. So when I saw him, he said right away. So what they do is they, to know what they, you sit there with an ice pack on your arm and they time, and he's like, stay here I'll come back in 10 minutes. I'm like, you only need 30 seconds. Like it's not going to take that long. And after like a minute, I couldn't even keep it on. I had to take it off. And then it came out and it was like a huge well. And he's like, yep, you're allergic to the cold. I'm like, okay. And there's not really anything that you can take for that. So it's just avoidance strategies.
I did like how you live in Canada, which is like the worst country to live in.
So much. Yeah.
So you're allergic to cold everything?
So yes, I'm allergic to cold temperatures and indirectly cold water. Water in general.
So what is like the cutoff for you then?
My threshold is supposedly 17 degrees Celsius, which I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit.
Oh no, we're gonna get serious for this. Hold on. Hey Siri, what's 17 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit?
17 degrees Celsius is 62.6 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, okay. That's that has to be pretty warm then.
Yeah, and so water as well. So like I'll take when I take a shower, I have to have this process. So no matter what, when I take a shower, I come out and I'm gonna have hive up to a certain degree. I've had anaphylaxis twice, so I have to carry an EpiPen. And oddly enough, rain is worse than snow because rain soaks you, snow doesn't really.
But like like when you get out of the shower and you always get cold, like do you have to not be cold when you get out of the shower? Because you're
exactly.
Wet?
Yeah. So like no matter what, I'm gonna hive up. What I try to do is I turn the shower on. This is totally not good for the environment, but I close the door, turn the shower on max, and let it become this steam room, and then that kind of helps the transition. Yeah.
So how do you go outside? Do you not go out in the cold months?
Oh yeah, I still go out and just cover it from head to toe. Really. COVID's helped because now I'm not looking weird for wearing a mask. My mom wanted me to wear this baklava where it's just my eyes. I'm like, no, mom, I'm gonna look like I'm stealing.
So you are the Zodiac killer.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm putting clues together. I see a knife in the background. I'm kidding. There's not a knife. I mean, it'd be crazy if there was a knife for some reason.
A fire.
Yeah, so every chronic illness, it's never consistent from day to day. You will have better days. What had worked for you to stay consistent?
Spoon theory. Managing my spoons. If I overdo it one day, I know the next day I'm gonna be not good. So it's better be worth it. honestly, for that, it's like it's more of a mental thing, right? Of just like not getting down on myself if I can't get out of bed, but also not, if it's a good day, not questioning when it's going to be over or overdoing it because I'm worried that I won't have a good day for another little while. So kind of like therapy has helped with that, because I was kind of like self-sabotaging myself in that way. I think also being an advocate has helped me in that regard, because like I demanded my mobility aids. I could have a better quality of life. You know, some of my doctors didn't agree for me having a power chair, because they're like, you need to exercise as much as you can. It's like, I'm a yoga teacher, you know, like, and then so, but my power chair allows me to go to the park where I volunteer and be outside for like 2 hours and not have to worry. You know, I can't even go around the block. Some days I can't even walk to the bathroom. So just kind of not letting those people that are questioning whether I need something or not, and just like looking towards myself and seeing like, what do I need? And yeah, it's hard for anybody to get into mobility. Like it was really hard for me when I had to start using a walker, just because it made everything very visible. Like we were talking at the beginning, like if you look at me, I don't look like I'm sick, right? But when you have a mobility aid, it's like, now it's out there. But that kind of passed really quick. I accepted it like pretty fast, to be honest. And just because it gave me such an improvement in my quality of life, incredible. And that has allowed me to manage my energy so much better, so that I'm maybe a little bit more consistent instead of it being like a roller coaster.
Yeah, I can totally feel like just when you're solo, like you go from, let's say, 20% of independent to, let's say, 80%. And it feels amazing. And then when you go outside and society kind of like, I guess the pressure comes onto you, and then you're just like, oh no, like, do I continue my life like that, or do I hide myself more? Because then society, like, it all comes to like the self-esteem. It's like what do you do? And it's like intimidating, especially when we're young people. And it's like, yeah, it's like, well, like, why is she doing this? Like, if you have a cane, it's like, if I had a cane, I would be like, I'm here to whack people, because they're
I
not.
do think that sometimes.
I mean, they have to be set straight. You know, sometimes it's like, what did you say? Like, it doesn't affect you in any way. And I'm like, I don't think a regular person would want to carry a cane with them to walk. You know.
No, exactly. No one voluntarily wants to have a wheelchair, you
I
know,
mean,
and
if
it's
you
not
do, more power to you. But
yeah, no, I'm not saying, I'm not discounting needing one. I'm just saying it's not like, you know, an able-bodied person just gonna be like, I choose to be. Maybe, I don't know. I shouldn't judge. Maybe there are people that you know might. But again, it's all perception, right? Because it's like, who am I to say that they don't need one? Who is anybody to say, you know? And I mean, for me, my wheelchair, you know, it's like, it's me going to the park is like like an incredible mental health break, which is incredibly empowering and energizes me. So like, what's wrong with that? And you know, me having my power chair, like I'm getting these new treatments. So I have to be at the hospital like 3 times a week. And you know, if I didn't have a power chair, I would likely take an Uber there and back, or use transit, which I don't feel very safe in right now. And whereas now, while it's like I can, because it's not too cold, I take my power chair there. So I'm saving money and I'm getting fresh air, which is super important. Instead of rolling out of bed, rolling into an Uber, rolling out of the Uber, going into the hospital. And I will challenge any physician that will say, like, you know, I should opt to to not have the chair. It's like, no, you're
do
wrong.
you use your chair because you're unable to walk, or is it more like a discomfort that you rather not walk just because maybe you're just not feeling energized enough to handle the whole day?
All of the above. So, like, pain is the major thing. And with EDS, with the dislocations, it like I sprain my ankle like at least 6 times a year, and it takes like 8 weeks to heal. So like it's, you know, so I'm preventing that damage, and the more with EDS, the more you damage, the more you dislocate, Like, yes, it happens easily, and yes, we can put it back easily, but it's still creating this damage that eventually might lead to surgery and even less mobility. So for me, it's like advice from my physiotherapist saying like you can push yourself, but you shouldn't.
Mhm.
And so pain, and then also pain, fatigue, all of that. Like you said, like my disease is like from day to day, but it's also from like hour to hour, minute to minute. Sometimes I'm so good, and then all of a sudden I am not, and then that's terrifying because I'm like, how do I get home if I'm like just not using a mobility aid, right? The other thing is safety. I pass out a lot and with cataplexy, because of the POTS and then because of the cataplexy. So it's much better for me to fall while I'm in a chair because I'm not really gonna fall. I'm just gonna drop. Like I'm just gonna ragdoll. Whereas if I'm walking, I'm like smack, and I can really hurt myself. And I have multiple times in the past, hurt myself a lot because of my passing out. So it's just so many reasons. But I don't use it all of the time. I just use it when I feel I need it. I recently got a manual chair, and then a lot of people are like, "Why are you getting a manual chair when you have a power chair?" I'm like, "Because I want to be as active as I can." So leave me alone. And so for me, if I like, my upper body is much better than my lower body, so I can use a manual chair for probably quite a few years, I think. Whereas walking is not. No. Yeah.
I mean, more power to you to like, yourself and what your needs are, and you just gotta like fulfill them and then keep going to life.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you can push yourself through the pain. Okay. Like anybody with chronic pain will tell you that. But it doesn't mean you should have to.
Do you have any fun EDS stories? Because like talking to one, her name is Abby. I'm sure you know who she is. She was opening a door and she said her shoulder dislocated, and then she was afraid of doors from then on. So like, do you have any fun EDS stories?
I have a lot. I mean, in yoga training was bad. I broke my body. Like I dislocate all the time. I mean, I'm falling down the stairs. I've had so many things happen to me. I mean, anybody with EDS will tell you, like you dislocate. I'm taking off a t-shirt. Oh, there goes my shoulder. And I think like the funniest things is that my friends seeing me dislocated is a lot more traumatizing for them than for me actually dealing with it. Well, I mean, if it's a low level dislocation, but like, so one of my best friends, Rebecca, in yoga training with me, and now like anytime I go to like scratch my back or something, she's like, "Don't do that!" She's like mad at me. She's like, and so like sometimes I don't even catch myself because I'm just so used to it. Recently I had an accident with my toe and I busted my toe. It's a long story, but like I get to the hospital and he's like, they did an X-ray and all that, and he's like, "So you broke your bone and you dislocated it." I'm like, not surprised. And he's like, "So we're gonna leave the dislocation for now." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're not touching my toe right now whatsoever." So he's like, "Okay, it's okay. I'm sure you'll dislocate it in the future and we'll just replace it then." I'm like, "Yeah, that's good." So I have a dislocated toe right now, just waiting until I dislocate it again so I can put it back properly.
Oh my God.
So that's the most recent kind of thing that's happened.
That's crazy to like think about.
Yeah. Like for like people, like when you see a dislocation, it's bad. If someone that doesn't have hypermobility, when you dislocate, it's bad because you're tearing all of that tissue. But for us, our tissue is like a stretch out elastic that doesn't bounce back, so it's like whoop, whoop. So it's like it's easy to put in and out. It's not, I mean, we have pain all of the time, but the pain of dislocation is significantly less than an average person.
Yeah, so now I'm curious that like I know you're super into yoga, so like, isn't yoga like the worst thing to do dealing with EDS?
Yes, short answer.
Okay.
I think a lot of people with hypermobile EDS often have a background of some sort of, like I was a professional figure skater for 10 years. So
I did not find that.
And then because I'm still grieving that. But you know, it
Hey,
and
you
then you
should write
have,
an
you know,
article about it. That'd be cool to
yeah,
hear
maybe I
about.
should, yeah. And then you know have some people that are gymnasts or some or like cheerleaders or something like that, right? They're like often in that realm. And then, you know, as an adult, because like, you know, sports is not so much of a thing, we gravitate towards yoga, especially now because it's like yoga is like the next thing, right? And not to mention that doctors often tell you to just try meditation and yoga, and as if it's like a panacea to help everything. But yeah, it's so I did like I pushed myself a lot in at the beginning. I was still pretty able-bodied then. So I was just using a cane then. And so but what yoga so the balance that you have to try to find with hypermobility is strengthening enough to support your joints. So then with that strength, you're actually losing flexibility, and a lot of, especially I would say, especially women, you know, find some sort of identity with the fact that they can be flexible, especially if they're in yoga, right? So then they don't like to do the strengthening because it's affecting their flexibility. So that's kind of what I was doing at first. I was there and I was like putting my leg over my shoulder, looking good, you know, me on Instagram and whatever. And I broke my body. I broke my body. Like I had so many dislocations and it was unmanageable. My physiotherapist was like, actually got mad at me and stuff. So then that's when I decided to switch up my strategy. I'm like, I'm not giving up yoga. I'm not doing like that. It's too much. It's like, it's my whole life.
Wait, so you knew you had EDS, but you continued to do yoga and then it didn't work out for you. So now you switched it up.
So now I'm more dedicated to accessible yoga. So using as many things as you can. So like chair yoga, all about the chair. It's like so good because then you don't have to worry about like if you're gonna fall or whatever, and you can really strengthen and like focus on the strengthening part when you're adding. Like people think like if you're adding props, if you're doing chair yoga, that it's like wussy yoga, and they have not done chair yoga. You know, like it's a lot harder actually because it's relying more on strength and flexibility. So that's what I started doing. So I focused more on in like I kind of did a lot of Pilates, which is often mixed up with yoga. So I did a lot of Pilates, and to the point where I was great. Like that was like the best for me because I was extremely strong. I was still somewhat able, so I could be that strong. Like I could do the work to get there. And then I was having like basically no injuries, none. Like I went like almost a year without injuries, which is insane. And then but with my mobility kind of waning, I'm not able to keep up with like the rigorous strength training that I was doing back then. So for me, yoga is I teach and practice yoga like it's not about what the pose looks like, it's about how it feels in your body, and everybody is different. So for someone it might be easy to hold a pose, but for another it's really hard, and then they'll get into another pose and it's the opposite. So you just really got to listen to yourself. And I think in yoga we try to be like teacher pleasers because that's what we're taught in school. So you think like you've got to please the teacher or something like that. It's like no, just listen to yourself. And so that's why I'm a big advocate for like accessible yoga in trying to change the vocabulary and bring in more inclusion.
So what is your favorite position?
Shavasana. Which is like the end pose where you're just lying on the ground.
I'm gonna assume that's a word because I have no idea.
It's like, you know, we finish every yoga class, but you're like lie down and that's it. There's nothing. You just lie down on your back, your arms and legs are stretched out. That's it. That's my favorite one.
I mean, it looks like the Jesus Christ sign, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, it's called corpse pose.
There you go. Let's get dark here.
Yeah, all about it.
I don't know. I'm getting Zodiac killer vibes here, so it's not looking good for you.
I know, right? But yeah, I think like I think yoga, like my favorite yoga type of yoga is meditation. Meditation has brought way more to my life than the physical aspects of yoga ever could.
I'm not into yoga at all. Like I understand it. And I just can't do it. Like I'll do it, and I just get like really bored, and I almost get more stressed during it. And I'm just like, Okay, I remember. I think you hosted a yoga session in the one rare week,
Yeah.
and I remember I joined for like 10 minutes, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. Like I had to leave. Like I have to have like noise and like I don't know. I just can't be calm. Like I'm a very calm person, but like I can't be that calm.
Oh, too calm. Yeah. I have
Yeah.
ADHD, so I feel you. Um, yeah, I think that's one of the problems, right? Like most yoga classes are 75 minutes. There ain't no way in hell I can do 75 minutes, and most even able-bodied people are like over it at the end. And so I think like we have to get away from that dogma that a yoga class has to last so long. Like I'm all about like 10 minutes, all you need. And then you don't get bored and you can actually really focus, and you can get just as many benefits from a 10-minute session and from an hour and a half session, if not more.
I mean, like I don't know, like for me, like I do get happy when I get to like a strip club. Like
Oh, that's so funny.
yeah, like I don't know, it makes me more like relaxed, I guess, and like happier than like yoga where I just get like more upset and such. So, but like I guess whatever floats your boat and whatever. But I guess like what I was on bed rest for like 4 years, in and out for like the past 10 15 years. So I kind of get to have my own yoga-ish space session alone when I was alone during that time, like time to think about like everything because when you're in bed, like you can't really do much. And it's like I had so much time to think about like religion, friends, family, how to solve the economy. Like, it's
I
like,
think, yeah, I think like that's kind of another silver lining of being chronically ill, and because you're forced a lot to have these like so much more time with yourself in a society where we prioritize distraction and numbing and
yeah, it's very cathartic doing it. I feel like everyone should have time to themselves that are not free from distraction to learn about themselves and such. But I think the easier route in life per se is to keep distracting yourself, keep going, keep pushing it. Yeah, I think focusing on yourself is scary because kind of like being yourself is kind of scary in itself. Like, let's say like you're in a relationship and you're expressing your opinion on someone. Like maybe I mean, I guess it depends on how established the relationship is and kind of how you establish it from the beginning. But like sometimes just saying your opinion to like your parents or like your spouse is intimidating. Like, it's, I don't know, it's very hard to be yourself. And
for sure.
It's like, I don't know, like a weird concept. But
No, I agree so much. Yeah.
No, I have nothing to say. I was gonna move on, but if you have anything to add.
No, I was just gonna say like that. I think is what people don't realize of like what I believe is like the true art form of yoga is its introspection. So I think you are gonna be bored in a yoga class a little bit because it's forcing you to look inside, and I can totally understand how hard that is, but there's so much growth when you do take that time. It's scary though, for sure.
Yeah, but like now it's like I know who the fuck I am and I don't take any shit. And it's like, and I hope it's the same for you.
Absolutely. And I mean, my therapist has really helped with that, in terms of, because it was intimidating to talk to a therapist, tell your therapist your problems because you're here on my time. I'm paying you to listen. So, and I think like, having that impartial sounding board is really important. But, mental health services are inaccessible. Like it's a problem.
Yeah, just keep expressing yourself, then just you gotta do you. Like, I mean,
yeah, even when it's hard.
Yeah, but like you have to be authentic to yourself if you're just lying. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how anyone can lie to themselves and to other people for so long. because I think it happened to like all relationships. So like, let's say you're dating someone, like you like them and you want them to like you, so you're like your best self, and like you won't fart in front of them, and you're just like, and then like 6 months, you like kind of, it's hard to keep up the charade, and you start becoming yourself, and then like most relationships end, I think, around the 9 months time, because I think that's when it's like people show them true selves, and it's like, oh, it isn't working. It's like, for me, I'm just authentic from day one. It's like, you don't like me now, you're not gonna like me in 9 months. Like, it's just like, but it's also weird because in society, everyone's on the same wavelength in terms of like everyone's supposed to be well liked, so they try to be them best self, and then they get to this point after 9 months when it doesn't work out, and it's like, I'm trying to avoid that problem, I guess. So like, it ties into authenticity. It's like, I'm like, I don't, like, you never met me before, but like, do you think I am the same from my Instagram to in person?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah, and there's some people are not. They're just, they can live secret lives. Yeah. So before I take the mic away from you, is there anything you want to promote or say or admit that you're the Zodiac killer?
Well, yeah, this verdict still out on that one. But no, thank you so much. This has been really fun. It was like really organic, and I feel like we're on the same wavelength, and really appreciate all you do for the community, all you've done for me, and love your show. And thank you so much for letting me be part of it and read you tarot and show you that it's not what it seems like it is. It's just really mundane, actually.
No, I appreciate the validation. I feel like I just gotta keep going, and hopefully something will happen. So thank you, Marcelle, aka Asintma, aka the Zodiac Killer. Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and I'll see everyone next time. Bye.